Let me ask you something. Have you been waking up at 2, 3, maybe even 4 in the morning, rushing to the bathroom night after night, and wondering why your body won't let you sleep? Or maybe your doctor handed you a lab report recently, and your creatinine number was higher than the last time. Maybe it jumped from 1.8 to 2.4, and your doctor said something like, "We need to keep an eye on this." And now you're sitting here asking yourself, is this the beginning of the end for my kidneys? I want you to take a breath, because here's what I know after spending more than 25 years as a nephrologist, a kidney specialist, working with patients just like you. Most people over 60 are making the same 3 or 4 morning mistakes every single day, and those mistakes are quietly making their creatinine worse, inflaming their kidneys, and speeding up the damage. And here's what nobody is talking about on YouTube. It's not just what you eat throughout the day that matters. It's what you put into your body in the very first hour after waking up that sets the tone for everything your kidneys do for the next 16 hours. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 kidney-friendly morning foods that real science, published in journals like the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, backed by the National Kidney Foundation and referenced by Mayo Clinic, shows can help lower creatinine, reduce kidney inflammation, and help your body flush toxins more efficiently. And I'm going to tell you something about number 3 that almost no one is discussing. Not your doctor, not other YouTube channels. So please, stay with me until the end, because that one could genuinely change your mornings. Now, before I get into the foods, I need to make one thing crystal clear. I am a nephrologist and an educator. This video is designed to inform you and help you have better conversations with your own doctor. It is not a substitute for your personal medical care. Every kidney patient is different, and what works for one person may not be right for another, especially when it comes to potassium and phosphorus levels. So please, always discuss any dietary changes with your nephrologist or dietitian first. Are we good? Let's go. Food number 1, egg whites. The very first food I want to talk about this morning is something so simple, so inexpensive, and so misunderstood in the kidney community that it genuinely surprises me it doesn't get more attention. We're talking about egg whites. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Doctor, I've been told to limit protein because I have kidney disease. And you are absolutely right. That is one of the most important dietary guidelines in managing CKD stage 3 and 4. But here's where most people, and even some general practitioners, get it wrong. There is a massive difference between high-quality, low-phosphorus protein and poor-quality, high-phosphorus protein. And egg whites happen to be one of the most kidney-efficient proteins that exists on this planet. Here's why this matters for your creatinine specifically. Creatinine is a waste product that comes largely from the breakdown of creatine in your muscles and from processing dietary protein. When your kidneys are already under stress, whether from diabetes, high blood pressure, or CKD itself, they struggle to filter creatinine out of your blood efficiently. So the quality of protein you consume in the morning becomes critical. High phosphorus proteins, think processed meats, certain cheeses, dark meat poultry, force your kidneys to work overtime. Egg whites, on the other hand, provide what's called a high biological value protein. That means your body uses almost all of it, generating very little nitrogenous waste that your kidneys have to filter. One study published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition found that patients with CKD who substituted egg whites for other higher phosphorus protein sources showed measurable improvements in phosphorus management over time. The National Kidney Foundation itself lists egg whites as a recommended protein source for dialysis and pre-dialysis patients precisely because of this favorable phosphorus-to-protein ratio. But here's something I want you to really think about, something that gets overlooked in most kidney diet conversations. If you're eating whole eggs every morning, which contains the yolk, you're getting about 95 milligrams of phosphorus per egg. But the egg white alone contains only about 5 milligrams of phosphorus, while still giving you about 3.6 grams of high-quality protein. That is a dramatic difference. For someone in stage 3 or stage 4 CKD who is already watching phosphorus to protect their bones and heart, that gap is significant over time. Now let me tell you about a patient of mine. I'll call him Harold. Harold was 67 years old, a retired postal worker from Ohio, stage 3B CKD with diabetic nephropathy. Harold loved his 2-egg breakfast every morning with sausage on the side. His phosphorus levels were running high, his creatinine was sitting at 2.6, and his nephrologist had already told him we were heading towards stage 4 territory. When we switched Harold to a 2-egg white omelet in the mornings, combined with some of the other changes I'm going to describe today, his phosphorus began to stabilize. His creatinine didn't reverse dramatically. I want to be honest with you, that's not how kidney disease works, but the progression slowed. Harold told me 6 months later, "Doc, I finally feel like I'm doing something right." How should you prepare egg whites for maximum kidney benefit? Always scramble or poach them. Avoid frying in butter or adding high-sodium seasonings. Season with fresh herbs like parsley or a little black pepper. Stay away from processed egg substitutes that contain additives and sodium. And if you're buying whole eggs and separating them at home, that's actually the freshest and most economical option. 1 or 2 egg whites in the morning is sufficient. You don't need more than that. More protein is not better for kidneys under stress. Controlled, high-quality protein is the goal. Food number 2, blueberries. Now, if egg whites are the protein workhorse of the kidney-friendly morning, then our second food today is the silent anti-inflammatory hero that most kidney patients walk right past in the grocery store. I'm talking about blueberries. Stay with me here because this goes deeper than you might expect. One of the things that almost never gets discussed in YouTube kidney videos, and I want to change that today, is the role of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation in CKD progression. Here's what that means in plain English. When your kidneys are damaged, whether by diabetes, high blood pressure, or age itself, the damaged tissue releases inflammatory signals. These signals trigger something called oxidative stress. Essentially, your cells are being bombarded by harmful molecules called free radicals. This oxidative damage accumulates in your kidney tubules, the microscopic tubes that do the actual filtering work. Over time, this inflammation accelerates the scarring of kidney tissue, which is called fibrosis. And that fibrosis is what drives CKD from stage 3 into stage 4. Now, here's where blueberries become genuinely remarkable. Blueberries are among the highest concentrations of compounds called anthocyanins on Earth. Anthocyanins are a type of flavonoid, a plant pigment, and they are potent antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that regular blueberry consumption significantly reduced markers of oxidative stress and inflammation in older adults. Separately, research from the University of Maine showed that blueberry polyphenols can reduce inflammation in kidney cells specifically. But here is what I find particularly exciting from a nephrology standpoint, and I have never heard another kidney YouTuber discuss this directly. Blueberries are also uniquely low in potassium compared to most other fruits, particularly those that are commonly recommended for health. A half-cup serving of fresh blueberries contains only about 57 milligrams of potassium. Compare that to a banana, which most people think of as a healthy breakfast fruit, which contains over 400 milligrams of potassium per fruit. For stage 3 and stage 4 CKD patients who are already dealing with rising potassium levels, a dangerous condition called hyperkalemia, this distinction is not trivial. It could be the difference between a safe morning meal and a dangerous one. Now, let me be careful here. Not every CKD patient has high potassium. Some actually run low. This is exactly why you need to know your potassium level from your most recent labs before making dietary decisions. But for those of you who do have elevated potassium, and statistically many stage 3 and 4 patients do, blueberries are one of the few fruits that give you powerful antioxidant protection without the potassium burden. And what about creatinine? Does eating blueberries directly lower creatinine? Let me be honest with you, because I believe you deserve honesty, not hype. Blueberries do not magically lower creatinine numbers overnight. What they do, and this is supported by peer-reviewed literature, is reduce the inflammation and oxidative stress that accelerates kidney damage, which over time can help preserve more of your remaining kidney function. Preserving function means your kidneys retain their ability to filter creatinine. So the impact is real, but it's cumulative and protective, not instant. How should you be eating blueberries in the morning? Fresh is ideal. Frozen is an excellent second option. And actually, frozen blueberries often contain more antioxidants than fresh ones that have been sitting on shelves for days, because freezing preserves the anthocyanins. A half cup to 1 cup serving in the morning is sufficient. You can add them to your egg white breakfast, stir them into a small bowl of allowed grain, or simply eat them as is. Avoid blueberry products that are processed: blueberry muffins, blueberry yogurts with added sugar, blueberry juice, because the processing destroys much of the anthocyanin content and adds phosphorus additives, sugar, and sodium that counteract the benefits entirely. And here's a preparation tip I rarely hear discussed. Don't wash your blueberries until right before you eat them. The natural waxy coating on blueberries, called the bloom, actually helps preserve the antioxidants inside. Washing them ahead of time and storing them wet accelerates degradation. Before we get into food number 3, and trust me, you do not want to miss this one because it involves something most doctors never bring up in kidney appointments, I want to pause for just a moment. If you are watching this right now and this information is helping you, I want to ask you something. We are working hard to build this channel into a trusted kidney health resource for seniors all across America. We want to reach 100,000 subscribers because the bigger this community grows, the more people we can help who right now don't have access to a nephrologist or can't afford specialist care. So please, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button right now and hit the like button. It takes 1 second and it tells YouTube to share this video with more seniors who need this information. Now here's what I really want from you in the comments section below this video. I want you to tell me your most recent creatinine value, your age, and your city or state. You don't need to share anything personal, just those 3 things. Something like creatinine 2.1, age 67, Texas. Why? Because I read every single comment, and understanding where our community is in their kidney journey helps me create better, more targeted videos for you. And when I see your numbers, sometimes I respond directly with a specific tip. So please, take 30 seconds and drop that comment. Your experience could also help another senior watching who is going through exactly the same thing. Let's build this community together. Now, food number 3. This one is genuinely surprising. Food number 3, red bell peppers. If I could pick one single food that I believe is the most underappreciated, most underprescribed, and most surprising kidney protective morning food for seniors, it would be red bell peppers. And I want to explain exactly why, because the science behind this one goes in a direction that most people, and even many health-focused YouTube channels, have simply never explored. Let me start with the basics, and then I'll take you somewhere much deeper. Red bell peppers are extraordinarily low in potassium, about 88 milligrams per half cup serving. They are also very low in phosphorus and sodium. From a pure CKD dietary standpoint, this makes them one of the safest vegetables for kidney patients across almost all stages of disease. But that's not what makes them remarkable. Practically anyone with a kidney diet handout from a dietitian has heard that much. Here's what is almost never discussed. Red bell peppers, particularly red as opposed to green or yellow, contain extremely high concentrations of vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B6, folic acid, and a compound called lycopene. Now, lycopene is something most people associate with tomatoes, but here's what's fascinating. Red bell peppers actually contain a different profile of protective phytochemicals that work through a pathway called the NRF2 pathway. The NRF2 pathway is essentially your body's internal antioxidant defense switch. When activated, it triggers the production of your own natural antioxidant enzymes, things like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase. These are the enzymes that protect your kidney cells from oxidative damage at the cellular level. A 2021 study published in the journal Antioxidants demonstrated that diets rich in NRF2 activating phytochemicals were associated with slower progression of CKD and reduced proteinuria. That's the protein in your urine that many of you have been told about, and which is a major marker of kidney damage and deterioration. When you have proteinuria, it means your kidney's filtering membrane, called the glomerulus, is damaged. Protein is leaking through when it shouldn't be. The NRF2 activating compounds in red bell peppers help protect that membrane from further inflammation-driven damage. Now, I want to connect this to something very practical for those of you dealing with foamy urine, because I get questions about this constantly. If your urine looks foamy or frothy, especially in the morning, that is almost always a sign of proteinuria. Your kidneys are leaking albumin or other proteins into the urine, and it creates that characteristic foam when it hits the water. This is not something to ignore. It's a signal your kidneys are under active inflammatory stress. The anti-inflammatory compounds in red bell peppers, particularly when consumed consistently over weeks and months, are one dietary tool that can complement your medical treatment to reduce that kidney inflammation. Here's another angle that I find compelling. Red bell peppers are an excellent source of vitamin C. A single half-cup raw serving provides over 100% of the recommended daily intake. Now, for kidney patients, I always want to be careful with large supplemental doses of vitamin C because very high doses can increase oxalate production, which can contribute to kidney stones. But getting vitamin C from whole food sources like red bell peppers is a very different metabolic situation than taking a 1,000 milligram supplement. The fiber and phytochemicals in the whole food modulate how the vitamin C is absorbed and processed. This is a crucial distinction. How do you incorporate red bell peppers into a kidney-friendly morning? The easiest way is to slice them raw and eat them alongside your egg whites. The combination is actually culinarily pleasant, and the vitamin C in the pepper actually helps your body absorb other nutrients from your morning meal more efficiently. You can also lightly sauté them in a very small amount of olive oil, no added salt, and fold them into your egg white omelet. The key word is lightly. High heat destroys many of the heat-sensitive antioxidants. You want them warm, not charred. Another option for those of you who prefer a more substantial morning meal: roast a batch of red bell pepper strips at the beginning of the week and keep them in the refrigerator for quick morning assembly. Cold roasted red bell peppers with egg whites is actually a beautiful combination. One critical mistake I see kidney patients making with bell peppers: they reach for the jarred or canned versions because they're convenient. Jarred roasted red peppers are packed in sodium-heavy brine. For a CKD patient, that sodium load can raise blood pressure, increase fluid retention, and stress your kidneys, completely defeating the purpose. Always choose fresh red bell peppers. Always. Food number 4, cauliflower. Our fourth kidney-friendly morning food is one that has been known in the kidney dietitian community for decades. But the reason why it works and the specific morning preparation methods that maximize its benefit are rarely discussed together in one place. The food is cauliflower. I want to start with a patient story because I think it makes the science more real. I had a patient, I'll call her Margaret, a 72-year-old retired school teacher from North Carolina. Margaret had stage 3 ACKD, type 2 diabetes, and blood pressure that was consistently running around 148/92 even with medication. Her creatinine had been slowly climbing, from 1.52 years ago to 1.9 at her most recent visit. Margaret was a passionate cook. She loved her morning grits, her biscuits, her Southern breakfast tradition. And she came to me frustrated because everything she loved seemed to be on the do not eat list for kidney patients. So I asked her to try something. I asked her to replace her morning grits, which she was making from enriched corn grits with added phosphate, a hidden danger I'll come back to, with a cauliflower mash. Not as a punishment, as an experiment. And I told her that if she didn't enjoy it after 2 weeks, we'd find another solution. 6 months later, Margaret told me it was the single best dietary swap she had made in her life. Here's the science behind why cauliflower is so valuable for kidney patients, and specifically why the morning timing matters. Cauliflower is extremely low in potassium, about 88 milligrams per half cup. It's low in phosphorus, and critically, it contains almost no sodium. But beyond its low mineral burden, cauliflower contains a compound called indole 3-carbinol, which is a glucosinolate breakdown product. Emerging research, including studies from the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, suggests that glucosinolate compounds may have protective effects on kidney tubular cells by modulating inflammatory signaling pathways. But here's the layer that I find most important for my CKD patients, and this is genuinely not discussed enough. Cauliflower is extraordinarily high in fiber, particularly a type called prebiotic fiber. And the relationship between gut health and kidney health, what researchers now call the gut-kidney axis, is one of the most exciting emerging areas in nephrology. Here's what we know. Patients with CKD have an altered gut microbiome. The bacteria in their intestines produce more of certain toxic compounds, particularly indoxyl sulfate and p-cresyl sulfate. These uremic toxins enter the bloodstream and are filtered, poorly, by already damaged kidneys, and they cause additional kidney inflammation and tubular damage. It becomes a vicious cycle. Prebiotic fiber from cauliflower and other cruciferous vegetables helps feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut that produce less of these harmful uremic toxins. A 2020 review in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology specifically highlighted dietary fiber as a strategy for reducing uremic toxin production and potentially slowing CKD progression. This is the gut-kidney connection. Your morning meal can either feed the bacteria that harm your kidneys or the bacteria that protect them. Cauliflower feeds the right ones. Now, about those hidden phosphates I mentioned. This is critically important for every CKD patient watching. Many processed grain products that seniors commonly eat for breakfast, instant oatmeal packets, commercial cereals, flavored grits, pancake mixes, contain added phosphate preservatives. These are listed on ingredients labels as things like disodium phosphate, sodium hexametaphosphate, or monocalcium phosphate. Here's the danger. The National Kidney Foundation has specifically warned that these inorganic phosphate additives are absorbed by the body at a rate of nearly 100%, compared to natural phosphorus from whole foods, which is absorbed at a much lower rate, sometimes as low as 40 to 60%. This means a bowl of processed, phosphate-added cereal can be far more dangerous for your kidney-related phosphorus levels than it appears on the label. Switching your morning grain base to cauliflower eliminates this hidden phosphate risk entirely. How do you prepare cauliflower in the morning? The cauliflower mash that Margaret learned is incredibly simple. Take about a cup of fresh or frozen cauliflower florets. Frozen works perfectly. Steam them for about 8 minutes, then mash or blend with a very small amount of unsalted butter or olive oil, a dash of garlic powder, and fresh parsley. No salt, no cream cheese, those add sodium and phosphorus. What you end up with is a warm, creamy, satisfying base that feels like comfort food while being genuinely therapeutic for your kidneys. You can also eat raw cauliflower florets as part of your morning alongside other foods if you prefer crunch over warmth. One more preparation note. Some kidney patients worry that cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower will cause gas or bloating. This is a real concern. If you're new to cauliflower, start with a smaller portion, just a quarter cup, and gradually increase over 2 to 3 weeks to allow your gut microbiome to adjust. Cooking it thoroughly helps with digestibility as well. Food number 5, watermelon. I want to ask you something before I tell you what food number 5 is. How many of you wake up in the morning and your first instinct is to reach for a cup of coffee? Maybe 2 cups. And then, if you're really disciplined, you try to get some water in during the day. I'm going to guess that most of you, if you're honest, are not adequately hydrated by mid-morning, and that this is happening every single day. Here's why this matters profoundly for your kidneys. Your kidneys are filtration organs. They require adequate fluid to move waste products, including creatinine, through the nephrons and into the urine. When you're mildly dehydrated, which many seniors are chronically because the thirst sensation diminishes with age, your creatinine concentrations in the blood can rise simply because there's less fluid to dilute and carry them. This is called pre-renal azotemia in mild forms, and it can artificially elevate your creatinine reading even when your kidney function hasn't actually changed. Some seniors have seen their creatinine improve meaningfully just by correcting mild chronic dehydration, without any other changes. But here's the complication that makes this tricky for kidney patients specifically. Many of you have been told to limit fluid because of concerns about fluid retention or because your kidneys can't excrete excess fluid efficiently. This is absolutely a real concern in advanced CKD, heart failure, and certain other conditions. So I am not telling every person watching to start drinking gallons of water. Your fluid prescription should always come from your nephrologist based on your specific situation. What I am telling you is that there is a beautiful, natural, kidney-friendly way to get morning hydration that also delivers anti-inflammatory compounds, and it has lower potassium than most fruits, it contains natural electrolyte balance, and it has one of the most impressive kidney-protective phytochemicals in the plant world. That food is watermelon. Now, stop. I know what some of you just thought. Isn't watermelon high in potassium? Let me give you the actual numbers, because misinformation about watermelon and potassium is incredibly common in kidney diet circles. A 1-cup serving of diced watermelon contains approximately 170 milligrams of potassium. A medium banana, for comparison, has over 420 milligrams. A cup of orange juice, which many seniors drink every morning thinking it's healthy, has about 500 milligrams of potassium. Watermelon, in a moderate serving, is actually one of the lower potassium fruit options, and it pairs its hydration benefits with something extraordinary. Watermelon is one of the richest dietary sources of an amino acid called L-citrulline, and this is where the science gets genuinely fascinating. L-citrulline, when consumed, is converted by the kidneys and liver into another amino acid called L-arginine, which then serves as a precursor to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator. It relaxes and widens your blood vessels. For CKD patients with hypertension, which is the majority of stage 3 and 4 CKD patients, this vasodilatory effect can contribute to better blood pressure management. And blood pressure control is by far the single most important factor in slowing CKD progression beyond medication. A study published in the American Journal of Hypertension found that L-citrulline from watermelon extract significantly reduced aortic blood pressure in adults with pre-hypertension and hypertension. Another study from Florida State University demonstrated that watermelon supplementation reduced morning blood pressure spikes. And this is critically important because the early morning hours represent the highest risk window for cardiovascular events in patients with hypertension and CKD. There's also the hydration effect itself. Watermelon is about 92% water by weight. Starting your morning with a cup of watermelon is essentially consuming a cup of structured, nutrient-carrying fluid along with citrulline, lycopene, vitamin C, and beta-carotene. All without the potassium load of most other fruits, without added sugar, and without the caffeine of your morning coffee that can actually constrict blood vessels and stress your kidneys if consumed in excess. How should you eat watermelon in the morning for kidney health? A 1-cup serving of fresh diced watermelon, not juice, not watermelon-flavored products, not watermelon candy, is the ideal portion. You can eat it alone first thing in the morning, before or alongside your other kidney-friendly foods. Some of my patients like to keep pre-cut watermelon in a sealed container in the refrigerator so it's completely effortless to grab in the morning. The lycopene content is actually slightly more bioavailable when watermelon is at room temperature, so letting it sit on the counter for 15 minutes before eating is a small but meaningful optimization. One important caution. If you are in stage 4 CKD or beyond, if your potassium is already elevated, or if your nephrologist has put you on a strict fluid restriction, please discuss watermelon specifically with your care team before adding it to your routine. Even lower potassium fruits require individual assessment at advanced disease stages. Final takeaway. So let's bring this all together. Because after 25 years of sitting across from kidney patients, watching people navigate fear, confusion, lab results, dietary restrictions, and all the uncertainty that comes with a chronic kidney diagnosis, I want to leave you with something that goes beyond the 5 foods. Here's what I've seen over and over again in my practice. The patients who do the best, who slow their CKD progression the most effectively, who maintain quality of life, who avoid dialysis the longest, are not always the ones with the best lab numbers at the start. They are the ones who decide, at some point, that they are going to be an active participant in their own kidney health. They bring questions to their doctor. They make one small dietary change at a time, and they stick to it. They track their creatinine over months, not days. They understand that kidney health is not about perfection. It's about consistent, informed choices that accumulate over time into real protection. The 5 foods we talked about today: egg whites for clean, low-phosphorus protein, blueberries for their unmatched anti-inflammatory and antioxidant power, red bell peppers for their NRF2 activating phytochemicals and proteinuria reducing potential, cauliflower for its prebiotic fiber and its role in healing the gut-kidney axis, and watermelon for its L-citrulline, blood pressure support, and gentle kidney-friendly hydration. None of these is a miracle. But together, built into a consistent morning routine, they represent a genuine scientific strategy for protecting what's left of your kidney function and giving your body its best chance to manage creatinine, reduce toxin burden, and slow disease progression. I want you to walk away from this video with one practical next step. Just one. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. That's a recipe for burnout and abandonment. Pick one food from this list, the one that sounds most appealing or most accessible to you. Add it to your morning routine for the next 2 weeks. Pay attention to how you feel. Bring it up with your nephrologist or dietitian at your next appointment. And then come back here, because there is so much more I want to share with you. Now, here's my final ask, and this one genuinely matters. If you are someone who has been struggling with your kidney health, who has felt scared after a lab result, who has felt like nobody is explaining things in a way that makes sense, this channel exists for you. We are building a community of informed, empowered American seniors who refuse to be passive about their kidney health. And we cannot do that without you. Please subscribe right now if you haven't already. Hit that like button. Share this video with one person in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, who is dealing with kidney disease, diabetes, or blood pressure issues. Because the information in this video could genuinely change how they approach their mornings, and that could change the trajectory of their kidney health. And in the comments, I want to hear from you. Tell me your creatinine level, your age, and your city or state. And tell me which of these 5 foods surprised you the most. I read every comment. I respond when I can. And your story might inspire someone else who is sitting exactly where you were when you clicked on this video. Scared, confused, and looking for real answers. I'm Dr. David. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Take care of yourselves, take care of your kidneys, and I'll see you in the next video.